we've got both steering racks. Obviously I thought the one on the Type R would be rusted, so I ended up off of a GSR parts car grabbing this one that you see here. Also on the, you can't really see it here, but on the Type R, I believe it was a replacement rack, so the rack or some variation had probably had issues, worn out or rusted or something, and so versus the GSR still has the OEM Showa rack. So we're going to swap anything that needs to be over. They look identical to me. Kind of been checking everything, and hoses look identical, the brackets, this you know, the brace bar here, all the accessory bolts and everything look identical. I've got new boots and stuff to rebuild this rack, so we'll start here shortly. This is one of the few parts that I've never pulled off of a Integra before, and so it was a kind of new experience for me. Not too terribly difficult, actually. I mean, once you get the front suspension off, it drops out pretty easily. And then the teardown, there's a couple of things on it, but honestly, you just take one off one by one, pretty straightforward. Nothing too complex. I also have a brand new rear motor mount. The one on the parts car actually had a bolt that had pulled through it, that bolted the subframe, and then the one on the Type R was obviously rusty, so I went ahead and just bought a new one. So replacing the boots for the steering rack, the clamps, I actually looked at the new one, but now that I've got the old one off, I'll show you kind of how it works. Basically, it'll come just as this long metal band, and whenever you clamp it, you actually it has a thicker metal ring right here at the top that you can see that thicker metal band on. You basically just get it in the position and then bend these tabs down, and so you don't need any special tools or anything like that to do it, which is nice because it has the I don't know if you can see that, but it actually has this little raised part right here, so that whenever you bring the band around, that thicker part catches right there, and then you just clamp it down. So there's no special tools or tightening or anything like that. Pretty straightforward, pretty easy to replace. And so if anybody was curious, I pulled obviously the tie rod ends off to be able to pull the boot off. Have those in the parts cleaner right now. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and pull these and replace them, clean up the rack, and then get it back on. And while we're here, this is the steering rack bushing, or one of. I've got a new steering rack bushing here. There's the part number if you need it. New clamps. So these are the clamps that I was just showing. The smaller spring clamps right here on this end. Right here are look like that. There's the part numbers for those, and then this is one of the two boots. The other one is this part number. One of them is basically an extra section long. So, but overall, pretty straightforward to replace. Probably would be pretty easy to do on the car. It's actually maybe even easier to do on the car than off the car because it'd be kind of held up and out of the way. So just in case we didn't get it, on the steering rack, replacing the boots on the steering rack here, went ahead and pulled, this is the equalizer tube. That way whenever you're steering and the rack is compressing the boot, the air actually moves to the other one that's expanding, so that it doesn't cause suction and squeeze up or anything like that. So reassembly, I've got my my boot here already pushed on. I mean, it's you just push it on. The only thing that the manual really helped me with was it says that the nipple here should be 90 degrees compared to your steering rack input. And stabilizer tube nipple should be 90 degrees compared to the input, not the high pressure hose, but the steering input here is supposed to be 90 degrees from there. The second piece has a oval to it. You put it on that tab that I was talking about earlier, and then just push it down. And then once you've pushed it down, you bend both of the clamps in, which I will once again do with my tiny little screwdriver. And so I'm not sure what happened to the footage of the reassembly of the entire rack. Don't think it was covered here. I've got it somewhere, but it may actually be still on my SD drive or something like that. So being this video is already 6 minutes, I'll just get it published and then try to consolidate it later. Hey guys, hope you enjoy watching the restoration of the rusty Barnacle, Integra Type R 98111. Please subscribe and keep looking for updates. Thanks.